I grew up on Oreos, Hot Pockets, and Sunkist. To realize as an adult that I was addicted to a delicious, nutrient-poor diet was horrifying. The Agricultural Revolution. 12,000 years ago, we went from hunters to farmers. Our ancestors realized if we grow our own food and domesticate animals, we could stay in one place. For millions of years, we had to risk our lives for food, competing against predators and the harsh environment, not knowing when our next meal was coming. But now, for the first time ever, we could just watch our food grow. This was a huge moment in our evolution. Everything changed. Farming allowed for a reliable source of food. Through hard work and innovation, they were able to domesticate, grow, and cultivate food for the future. With tribes turning into towns and towns into cities, these farmers realized if they work hard, they could make an abundance of food and never go hungry again. Work hours went from 20 to 40 hours a week. Planting seeds, fencing in cattle, this was the beginning of something great. But with more food came more people and more mouths to feed. This started the endless cultivation and invention of foods. Foods that don't exist without the help of mankind. Foods like rice, bread, corn. And did you know broccoli, cauliflower, kale, Brussels sprouts don't grow in the wild? They were bred out of the white cabbage plant. They were invented. Through selective breeding, they also invented oranges. This man-made hybrid comes from crossing a pomelo fruit with a mandarin. Peanuts are also a hybrid. Almonds, grapefruit, and strawberries were all man-made through careful cross-pollination. Look what a banana used to look like. And a peach, and a strawberry, and even a watermelon. It's pretty amazing we were able to figure this out. We were creating food at will. But was there a consequence to all these new foods? With more mouths to feed and tougher lives, these farmers worked all year long around the clock. For the first time ever, tribes went from 150 people to thousands of people. This drove the invention of gods, religion, nations, money, and human rights. But with the population rising, sanitation became an issue. Infectious diseases spread from animals to humans, such as smallpox and measles. This new plant diet came with less nutrients and more calories. People didn't have to forage or hunt for their food anymore. Our bodies began to atrophy. We lost muscle and size. The average man went from 5'9" to 5'5". Less nutrients stunted our growth. Our bones got weaker and more fragile. Our teeth started to decay. We stayed indoors, we received less sunlight, we became sedentary. Life went from being outside all day, walking miles at a time to get water and food, to now sitting indoors and moving only when necessary. We went from nomads to homebodies. And why not? Why risk our lives anymore? Why spend so much energy walking miles to get food and water when we can just stay here and get our food from our farmer friend? Why not build walls and protect ourselves from predators? Why not choose security and comfort over risk and scarcity? I can see why every country would adopt traditional farming practices. But all these positive changes came with a consequence: our health. This led to our brains shrinking for the first time ever. The brain size of a hunter-gatherer was 1,500 cubic centimeters, and the average brain size of people today is 1,350 cubic centimeters. Our brains have been shrinking since 12,000 BC. Just because something is edible doesn't mean it's nutritional. With the domestication of animals, we were able to have protein and dairy all year round. Even though keeping a cow pregnant for the sake of getting more milk might seem wrong, this was a great source of calcium. Despite 65% of the population being lactose intolerant, methods such as fermenting, curdling, and churning created foods like cheese, butter, and yogurt. They are lower in lactose but higher in essential nutrients. Let's look at eggs. Did you know wild birds laying unfertilized eggs is rare? But with careful breeding, they were able to create hens who gave more eggs. chickens became something else. What a perfect food. A bird that doesn't fly or swim and lays free eggs for us, packed with essential nutrients. With the inventions of machines like the plow and seed drill, farmers were able to yield more food with less labor. One farmer and the right machine could feed thousands. These machines made the farmer's life easier. This drove people to pursue different jobs and careers. Machines enabled farmers to feed a growing population, but things got even worse 200 years ago. During the Industrial Revolution, a new breed of foods were born. GMO crops, seed and vegetable oils, processed foods and drinks. Also factory farming. With money being the main goal, these companies began to come up with more ways to create cheap foods high in calories, and also make them delicious and addicting by adding sugar, fat, and salt. Welcome to the standard American diet. With the help of influence and advertising, these companies were able to ultimately change the culture of America. We all grew up on these foods. I grew up on Oreos, Hot Pockets, and Sunkist. To realize as an adult that I was addicted to a delicious, nutrient-poor diet was horrifying. But I realized this wasn't my fault. And it isn't yours either. Our parents didn't know any better. They just wanted us to be happy and be a part of the American culture. Nobody saw this coming. How could we have known this was going to cause such a health problem? Over 70% of people in America are overweight, and 1 out of 3 Americans have diabetes or prediabetes. More than half of today's children are expected to be obese by the age of 35. Even our pets are sick and overweight. 6 million pets a year get diagnosed with cancer. We are the only animals that live with chronic health conditions that are preventable. It all started as simply people trying to survive, making foods edible, to now companies making money off these foods. Wheat, rice, corn, and soy are the most popular agricultural products. Grains have been the biggest tragedy. A food with 0 nutrients. They've ruined what was good about farming. GMO crops to awful factory farming. Feeding these cows an unnatural diet of corn and soy, and then injecting them with hormones and antibiotics just to produce more milk and beef. Also, keeping pigs and chickens caged up on top of each other with no sunlight or room to move. Then serving these sick animals for us to eat. And the worst part is, these powerful companies have influenced our government to make ag-gag laws. A law that will punish anyone who records footage of what goes on in animal agriculture. How convenient. These monsters knew what they were doing. But thanks to drones and brave people, the truth is out on factory farming. I sympathize with those who choose a plant-based diet because of factory farming. I don't blame you. But there's a better option: ethical farming and regenerative agriculture. We have found a way to mess and degrade every food for the sake of profit. When it comes to food, we can't trust mankind. We have to go back to the way we used to eat, our natural diet, a diet only found in nature, the diet that made us human, a highly carnivorous diet of happy and healthy animals. A hunter-gatherer's diet consists of meat and seasonal fruit and vegetables. A farmer's diet consists of mostly grains, plants, and some meat and eggs and dairy. And a modern American diet is burgers, pizza, cereal, processed foods, candy, cookies, cake, soft drinks, donuts, and the occasional chicken salad. So I think it's clear what led to the health epidemic. Processed foods, plants, sugar, and grains. If you think about it, we've been plant-based for 12,000 years. And look where it's led us. We were hunter-gatherers for 2.5 million years. We've been farmers for only 12,000 years. That is less than 1% of our existence. Unfortunately, nature is not agreeing with our recent change in diet. For the first time ever, our life expectancy is going down. And if you're lucky to make it to your 80s, it will be filled with pain and suffering, doctor visits, and a cabinet full of pills. If we wanted to adapt and thrive on a plant-based diet, it would take another 2 million years. Evolution takes time. But if that happens, say goodbye to your big smart brain. We can still save our planet and ourselves. We don't have to become another statistic. We can all adopt a hunter-gatherer diet, eating healthy and happy grass-fed pasture-raised animals, wild-caught fish, and organic fruits and vegetables. Yes, these foods are more expensive, but so is a hospital bill. And look, the occasional slice of pizza and chocolate chip cookies is not the end of the world. I don't want to live in a world where these foods don't exist. I like that they're there, but I don't think it's right to make these man-made foods your daily foods. Plus, we are not making it easier on ourselves by filling our vending machines, gas stations, checkout counters, restaurants, supermarkets, offices, social gatherings, birthday parties, holidays with these man-made foods. We are all guilty. They are cheap, addicting, and everywhere. We have made it really difficult on ourselves to eat healthy. To be healthy nowadays, you basically have to learn to say no 20 times a day. No to the pastries at the morning cafe. No to the comfort foods in the cafeteria. No to your coworker offering you some chocolate or cake on a Tuesday. No to the 3 o'clock cafecito. No to the chocolate bar staring at you at the checkout counter. No to the endless fast food restaurants on the way home. So by the time we get home from a long day of work, decision fatigue has kicked in and we give in to temptation. The 80-20 approach. Here's how we can apply the 80-20 approach. Hunter-gatherer diet during the week and standard American diet on the weekend. This way you can provide your body with the essential nutrients it needs and still satisfy your craving for these man-made foods. 80% nutrient-dense foods during the week and 20% comfort foods on the weekend. But choose better quality. A grass-fed burger is way better than McDonald's or Burger King. The agricultural revolution was the worst and best mistake in the history of the human race. Thanks to their efforts, we have food at our fingertips now. If one of our hunter-gatherer ancestors ever went to a supermarket, their heads would explode in disbelief. They would not believe what we accomplished. Let's take what was good about the agricultural revolution and change what was bad. Let's be the generation that brings an end to this tragic health epidemic.